As I said, the reason why we're here, the reason why we do this is for patients and their families. I would like to be able to introduce our next speaker, who is a family member of somebody who was a patient. Bryce Piro is with us, and he is going to share his story about his brother. He's currently at the University of Arizona and is studying biochemistry and psychology and applying to medical school. So it's great to be able to hear from a sibling how somebody's healthcare impacts them and their family. And Bryce, thank you for coming to share your story. Do you have a microphone?
Thank you. Hi, thank you for everybody for letting me come up here today. I'm probably the least qualified person to come up and speak today, but that's all right. I hope to one day be like many of you and hopefully have a successful career in medicine. Currently, I'm a student at the University of Arizona, and before I get into all that, I wanted to take a quick audience poll. So can anybody raise their hand that's lost a parent or grandparent? That's a lot for the first one. And then has anybody lost someone to cancer? And then has anyone lost a son or daughter or someone close to them, or I'm sorry, a brother or sister when they were a child? There's less hands for that one, and that's actually where my story begins. I lived a pretty simple child life. I grew up in a large family of a mom and dad and 4 siblings until I was about 13 years old. For whatever reason, probably because my grandparents always had it on TV, I loved the game of baseball, and so did my brother Jackson. We both dreamed that we would one day play in the major leagues together, and at the time it seemed like nothing could take us away from that goal until one day, ironically, at a spring training game in Arizona, Jackson started to feel sick and threw up. And at the time, we just assumed it wasn't a big deal. It was like a flu or food poison or something. But for a few months, these symptoms persisted. And Jackson was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And it was a tough day for everyone to find that out. And he fought for 2 years, and he fought through 2 brain surgeries and chemo and radiation, and he had a lot of courage, but he passed away. And that was probably the toughest day of my life, but it's one that really, I learned a lot, and I think about it every day. So I wanted to go over a few facts about childhood cancer that I'm sure most of you are aware of. Each year, about 15,000 kids will hear the words, "Your child has cancer," and 12% of those kids won't survive. That's, if you do the math, almost 43 kids a day that lose their life to cancer, and it's the #1 cause of death by disease for children, and even the 60% who survive suffer late effects that can hinder them for the rest of their lives. And there is a lot of great organizations that help children and families, like my brother and my family. For example, Camp Sunshine is a camp that me and my family go to every year. And it's a great time for bereaved families to almost forget about it all for a weekend and all bond and play games and go to therapy sessions. And that's actually where I met Mike and Kezia Fitzgerald, who helped and encouraged me to get up on this stage today. But one area that I think isn't as talked about by medical professions is the fallout. And you could emphasize with the sadness of someone losing their family member, but there's also additional repercussions. And for example, my family moved states because we couldn't stand being in the same city and state that we lost my brother in, and then subsequent divorce. I mean, I don't have the statistic on that, but I'm sure that doesn't help marriage quality. And youth sports and school and reminders and nightmares and birthdays and anxiety from other siblings' birthdays, all of it. And I can attest that all of those are very real problems that families deal with afterwards. And it's a constant uphill battle, but it is one that can be conquered. And that's why my story today isn't about struggle or grief. In fact, it's actually about perseverance. And I think anyone who's lost a loved one, the main objective of their mind should be perseverance. It shouldn't be gloating or not gloating, suffering through anything. And I also think anyone treating childhood diseases or volunteering or helping these kids should focus on perseverance as well, because it's not an easy thing to cure these diseases, but through trial and error we can affect, change, innovate, invent, cure, and save lives and end the fallout for these families. So this is a simplified picture, but it's basically what would motivate me to work hard as I do each day, is that there is no cure for the disease that killed my brother. So I plan to graduate in May, and then I hope to go on to medical school. And from there, I hope to become a pediatric oncologist so I can help kids like my little brother fight through whatever diseases they're battling. And I hope to use any current or future methods that may help and hopefully one day find a cure to these diseases. And I hope to, on the patient side, help these patients get through it with compassion using the experiences that I've been through. And it's not an easy task. I know this is a hard field to be in, but I think I have the courage and the skills to do it. I even get the occasional B in my biochemistry class, and I took the MCAT recently, and I did all right, but I wasn't exactly the 99th percentile. But what I do have, and what I hope to instill in others, is dedication and passion and the ability to persevere through anything, and I don't think there's a written test that can determine that. And innovation takes hardship and struggle and failure, but that is what leads to more success. And you don't have to lose a loved one to cancer to feel passionate about curing it. No am I saying that, but I just think those traits that I learned from that are some of the most important aspects to be successful in this. And I hope to further solidify that in anybody that is working to cure these diseases. And of course, my dreams changed from when I was 13. Me and my brother are not going to play Major League Baseball together. And I would do anything to get him back, but what I have learned from that situation has molded me into the person I am today. And I was still able to get a baseball scholarship and academic scholarship, and I'm able to speak at events like this and live on, or let my brother's legacy live on through me. So many of us have a why of what we do and why we do it. And I wanted to share mine today because it motivates me every day. And I hope to remind everyone that we can persevere through anything. Thank you for this opportunity and everything you all do and will do for children's brothers, sisters, friends, and parents.